many people from investing in property. In the 90s, the world economic slowdown and the Asian currency crisis. September in 2001, we had 9/11, and the economic effects arising from the attacks in New York caused global stock markets to drop sharply. And who could forget these scenes in 2007 and 2008, leading to the collapse of Lehman Brothers and the global financial crisis in 2008, which led to the US subprime mortgage fallout. And after each one of these events over the last 40 or so years came the question, will the residential property bubble burst? But here's a better question. How did the property market actually perform during those periods? Well, you can see clearly here on this chart in front of you, the naysayers and doomsdayers got it completely wrong. You see, fact is, the property bubble question is more often than not asked or promoted by newspaper reporters, TV pundits, and people who've written books with an agenda they want to sell. And now, in the digital age, it's asked by bloggers on internet forums, by people who just want something controversial to say. I mean, when did you last see the headline, "Everything's fine, just carry on as normal"? Never, because it doesn't sell media space. The educated investor doesn't believe what's published in the daily papers or broadcast on the nightly news. And we're all old enough to remember the good old Y2K bug that was going to destroy Mother Earth as we knew it, and the economies worldwide. But look what actually happened. And let's be honest, for most of us, it only felt like it was the year 2000 yesterday. Just imagine if you'd inherited or invested 1, 2, 5, or even 7 properties in your portfolio 15 years ago. What do you think your portfolio would be worth now? Wouldn't life be a little different today with the flexibility and choices we could make? And if you think we've just struck it lucky for the past 200 years with property prices in Australia, have a look at the predicted outlook on the housing shortage. A comment from Guy Debelle, the Assistant Governor of the Reserve Bank. Nationally, the level of housing construction is about where it was 10 years ago, but the population is 15% higher. Guys, I don't have a crystal ball and I can't read the future, but there's a saying from a very famous author and intellect which rings true more often than not. And that's that history doesn't repeat itself, but it does rhyme, and it couldn't be more true with property and economic cycles. So there are only 2 things you can do when the events of life occur, which they always have and always will, and that is to respond or react. If you only take one piece of vital information away from this webinar, this is the one. If you want to create wealth and secure your future, you need to become an educated investor, someone who actively responds to events, seeing the opportunities, rather than the average person whose knee-jerk reaction loses them money and keeps them on the fence in fear. It's about avoiding fear and looking for the opportunity and investing wisely. It's about buying assets that make you money rather than liabilities that cost you money. It's about using good debt rather than carrying bad debt that just drags you down. The educated investor knows how to legally reduce their tax, but more so how to swap it for high-growth passive cash flow assets. They get expert specialist advice instead of listening to family or friends, however good their intentions are. The educated investor works smarter, not harder, grabs opportunities when they arise and makes the most of their time. And here's the biggie. The difference between the educated investor and the average person is that they take action. They make it happen. This is one of my favorites. You can make money or excuses, but you can't do both at the same time. In other words, get the facts, then get moving. Welcome to your future. According to the latest census tables in the United Nations, that is if you make excuses and do nothing. The statistics are frightening. Out of 100 people born, by the time we reach 65, 15 of those 100 will have passed away. 74 of those 100 will be welfare dependent, and 7 must stay at work after the age of 65 just to survive. Only 3 will be financially secure, and only 1 will be wealthy. It's actually quite scary. 40% of adult Australians earn less than $400 a week, or what I call flat broke. A massive 70% of adult Australians earn less than $675 a week, basically mediocrity. And only 2.2% of adult Australians earn more than $100,000 a year, or a touch above average. The one question that I think needs to be asked is, why do 97.2% of Australians aged over 65 retire completely, or close to broke? Is it due to poor wealth psychology, the old chestnut that having money is bad or the root of evil? Are people just too lazy or too busy to learn, the Aussie metaphor that she'll be right, mate? they never started to invest or didn't have the access to the information? Could it be that they started to invest too late? Any baby boomers on the webinar might relate to this. We get this one all the time, and that's the fear of borrowing money and having debt, not realizing the difference between good and bad debt. Or what I call lack a modern-day financial education and a team of professionals around them to mitigate as much risk as possible. Because let's face it, they didn't teach us this stuff in school. Wealth creation or investing used to be something you left to bankers and corporate giants. Not the case in today's economic environment. So get these facts. Only 4% of Australians own one investment property. Less than 1.5% own 2, 3 or 4 properties, and only 0.1%, yes, 0.1% of adult Australians owns 5 or more investment properties. So the question is, what does that property portfolio owning 0.1% know that the rest of us don't? The answer is they know and understand how investing works. They understand the logical flow of what we call the investor's pyramid. And all this pyramid represents is the logical sequence of events you need to follow to create wealth and become an educated investor. The pyramid is built on knowledge. Without knowledge, there's only fear, and fear leads to a lack of action and procrastination. But with the knowledge, you would know that right now we are moving into a time of fantastic opportunity in the property market. Interest rates are so low, and if you had the knowledge, you'd know that historically when interest rates move below 6%, it's cheaper to own than it is to rent. And that, according to the data, fuels a housing boom. Now, the people that know how to undertake fundamental analysis on property are snapping up bargains left, right, and center. But to take advantage of this situation, you need to know what you're doing. And if you don't know how to analyze the market, if you don't have the right knowledge and specific tools, then you can't make a buying decision, which means that you are not actively investing. And having a viable investment plan, it's crucial. Any journey needs a map, and having a clear written record of your goals, your strategy and your milestones will put you way ahead on the route to wealth creation. The next step is having a relationship with a finance specialist. Now, I have to warn you that there is a massive difference between the local mortgage broker who can get you a loan for your home and a genuine financial strategist. Choosing the right advisor is crucial to your success, and this is certainly something PPI can help you with if need be. You also want to seek expert asset protection and tax advice to understand how the finances are going to work and the correct structure or entity to hold the assets in. Then always conduct thorough due diligence. Taking a serious professional attitude to the wealth creation process is what separates the average person from the educated investor. If everything is in order, you proceed with the transaction. Puzzle, you do it all again. Now, I want to use an analogy that we'll all easily understand. So, who knows what this is? And yes, of course, it's a shopping list. Who has seen, or more importantly, used a shopping list? And I'm hoping that's all of you. And let me guess that when you go to your local Coles or Woolies, unless they are out of a specific item, you pretty much take home 100% of the items on your list, right? Well, guess what? The world is just like your local Coles or Woolies, but for your life. The world has everything you could possibly ever want on its shelves. You just need to have your list and go about crossing them off just as you would the grocery list. Simple enough. Who's ever heard this old saying before? If you don't have a plan, you're planning to fail. The one question my team asks when we meet our private coaching clients is, do you have a clearly defined and documented investing plan, an actionable roadmap from where you are today through to your desired retirement age? And the consistent response is an overwhelming no. And when we ask our clients the big question, which is, what are your numbers? We often get a blank face look, which is completely normal. It's not exactly the easiest question to answer. So, what are your numbers? What is your desired income at retirement? What is your desired age of retirement? How much will you need per week? How long will it take you to achieve? How will you achieve it? What does it look like? And more importantly, do you have a clearly defined and documented action plan, a roadmap, if you will? Now, the reason we get an overwhelming no is because it's very confronting to sit down with your wife, your lover, or significant other, a cup of tea or a glass of wine, and put pen to paper and nut out the rest of your life. Trust me, I've tried it, and it's a pretty daunting task. Thoughts instantly crop up like, what if I get it wrong? Or do I only get one go at it? And of course, that's not the case. But with some key questions asked the right way, it's funny how easily it all pops out and then everything becomes crystal clear. Okay, let's switch gears and delve into understanding property cycles. Firstly, it's vital to note that a full cycle takes approximately 7 to 10 years. But I'll come back to this point and its importance shortly. So when we're talking about timing, educated investors refer to the property clock. It's just a way of describing where in the property cycle a potential